So this was a routine sonogram, 20-week scan, and the question was, what do you think about the stomach?
Okay, so here the first observation, of course, is that there's a normal amount of fluid. For me, normal fluid visually is torso fills the cavity front to back, and there are communicating pockets between the small parts. Perfectly normal. In fact, dead center normal amniotic fluid. So we'll skim through these images until we get to the image of the fetal stomach. Of course, while I'm going through these images, I'm looking to see if there's anything that I think might be abnormal about the fetus. And the answer is, I don't see anything that makes me think the fetus is otherwise abnormal. All of these images are within normal limits. Now we get to the area of concern. So indeed, the stomach is too small.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
is there a normal size of the stomach?
I don't subscribe to that notion. I'm sure that if you look in the literature, somebody will measure it. You can count on absolutely one thing about investigators. If they think they can actually get a paper into the literature by measuring something, they will measure it. Okay, it's not the way I practice. Okay, so I don't. This is too small.
Right.
Okay.
I agree.
Let's talk. Okay, we both agree. So what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about some process that's preventing fluid from getting into the stomach, most commonly esophageal atresia.
Okay, esophageal atresia. Now, we've looked at this pretty carefully, and what we found is that when we looked at all the cases of esophageal atresia that were actually born at our institution over a period of time, we only diagnosed about a third of them, a little over a third of them. Okay. Furthermore, when the fluid was normal, there was only one case of esophageal atresia during the entire study period. So, in the presence of normal fluid, there's a low probability. In the presence of poly, the probability is still less than 50%. So poly in a small stomach.
Right.
It's still unlikely to turn out to be, on a statistical basis, to turn out to be esophageal atresia with tracheoesophageal fistula. So my feeling is as follows. I have a very low suspicion in this case that anything is wrong. Nonetheless, it would be cavalier not to ask for a follow-up sonogram. What I will often do to avoid that is simply to tell the sonographer, hey, go back in, take another look. And you'd be surprised how often the fetus has decided to take a drink and the stomach is filling up. If the stomach is filling it up, it doesn't have to be huge. I mean, obviously, there's not esophageal atresia if the drink is getting down to the stomach.
So, judging by just that alone, obviously, there's no standard follow-up in 4 days or follow-up in 2 weeks because it could happen in the next 20 minutes. So, but is there something you would say, like, bring them back in a week? Or
yes, I think this is one of the instances where you can bring the patient back for a very limited look.
Right.
Just bring the patient back in a week and look to see if the stomach is full. You don't have to repeat the whole examination, although if the stomach is not full, it might not be a bad idea to give the fetus a more careful look.
Perfect.